Good morning, everyone. You know, this time of year has a tendency to make me just a little nostalgic. I like to go back and remember Christmases past and Advents past. And one of the things I was thinking about this week is that when I would come to Mass every Sunday during the Advent season, my favorite thing and the thing that I hated the most was the Advent wreath. I love the Advent wreath because every week I would come and another candle would be lit, and that meant that Christmas was 1 week closer, right? And I love that. We're counting down. We're getting closer. Here it comes. I hated the Advent wreath, though, because every week I would come and there were still candles left unlit, and that meant Christmas wasn't here yet, and I had to keep waiting, and I hated waiting. And even, this was the worst, there was one Sunday I would come and all 4 of those candles would be lit, and it still wasn't Christmas yet. Like, I still had to wait a couple days. It was infuriating. But it was hard. I remember just like this waiting, you know? Like, I wanted Christmas to come so badly, but I had to keep waiting. It was like both an exhilarating and exciting time of waiting, but it was also agonizing and difficult. And that whole time of waiting, I just remember desire growing in my heart. Like, I wanted Christmas so badly. And then when it would finally come, I loved it, right? I had so much joy. It finally came. And really, as a kid, I would love to stand up here and tell you I was so excited that Jesus was born. I was so excited that Santa Claus came. Like, that was the part I was waiting for, right? And my desire grew and it finally came and boom, there it is, right? And I was thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Just this whole idea of waiting and desire growing. And, you know, I don't know that we do a whole lot of waiting today, most of us. I was at lunch earlier this week with a couple of guys, and at one point I asked them, hey, so did you guys go out and do Black Friday shopping? And I have to admit, that was not my best conversation starter with a couple of dudes, but they were very kind and engaged with me, and they said, both of them, no, I did not, which is fine. But one of them said, why would I go out in the midst of all of those people and fight all of those crowds when I can click a button and it just shows up to my doorstep the next day? And I thought, you're awesome. I don't like people either. Like, why would, you're exactly right. I will clarify that a little bit. I love individuals. I don't like large groups of individuals. So if I meet you as an individual, I love you so much. All of you together, no, not so much. Like, I don't need that in my life, right? And I was right on board with him. Like, why would you go out and fight all those people in that crowd, go out and do the thing when you can click a button and it shows up the next day and you don't have to do any work, right? And really, when you look at our lives are, for most of us, immediate. When we want something, we get it now. If I want to rent a movie, I don't have to go to Blockbuster. If you're young, Blockbuster used to be a place you'd go to get movies. I don't have to go there. I click a button, it downloads immediately, boom, got the movie. If I want music, I search, click a button, boom, it's there. If I want something, click a button, Amazon Prime delivers it the next day, right? Even like I listen to audiobooks. I don't have to go to the library to rent like CDs or buy anything. I click a button, boom, hours of content right there for me to enjoy. Or if you've ever been in a conversation with somebody and you've been fighting or debating about something, like who won the World Series in 1982 or whatever, and you fight about it and you can't come to a solution, what do? Somebody pulls out their phone, right? And they say, let me look it up. Boom, got the answer. Don't even have to wait. No research, really. Everything's so immediate. We don't wait for anything. And because of that, I think for so many of us, that place where desire can grow in our hearts is totally dead. We don't have this opportunity to let desire grow in our hearts. And the point of this, I am not telling anyone to like cancel your Amazon Prime account or anything like that. I'm not willing to do that myself. That's not the problem. The problem is that we never wait for anything. So desire doesn't grow in our hearts. And that's why we have, one of the reasons that it's so good that we have this time of year right now, Advent, this time of waiting. The whole point is to let desire grow in your heart. And I think for so many of us, there's this fear of desire. We think of desire almost as a bad thing. It's not. Brothers and sisters, desire is so good. Sometimes we desire things that are not good, and so it's not good. Like, you don't want to desire things that are bad. But at the root of every desire is something good, is a desire for something good. Even if our desire appears to be for something that's bad or not good for us, deep down there's something good there. We want something good. Desire is a good thing, and we should give it an opportunity to grow. During this time of year, the desire that should be growing in our hearts is a desire for union with God. So how does that happen? How do we let that desire grow in our hearts? Now, based on everything I've said, I mentioned waiting is the thing, right? We wait, and that's how desire grows in our hearts. Don't think for a second, you're not going to get off the hook here and be like, oh, well, the answer is I don't pray, I don't go to Mass, I don't do anything for like a month, and then when I come back, it's going to be amazing. It would be amazing, but that would make you not a very good, Christian in that moment. Don't do that, you're not getting off the hook. How do we let desire for God grow in our hearts? It is precisely by engaging in the relationship with God now, in the sacraments and in prayer. Because right now in this life, we are in this incredibly fascinating position with God of having the opportunity to have union with Him now, but not yet. We enjoy it already, but still not yet. In the end, what your heart wants more than anything in the world, what my heart wants more than anything in the world, is union with God, and not just a temporary union, not a union in a moment. We want union with God now and for all eternity, unbroken, fulfilling the deepest desire of our hearts always. The only place where that happens is heaven. In this life, we have those moments where we find union with God, but then we're separated, we're kind of back and forth, and it's never definitive. In heaven, it is. So the way that desire grows in our hearts is to engage with Him now, to be united with Him now, recognizing that we're getting a foretaste of that definitive union that we all desire in heaven. So when you unite with Jesus Christ here in the Eucharist, Jesus Christ, this truly is Jesus Christ. The Eucharist is Him Himself. And when you receive Him into your body, you are truly united with Him. But it's a reality that's not fully completed yet, and it makes desire grow in our hearts. When we encounter Him in the sacrament of confession, we encounter His merciful heart. But it's not that definitive union with His merciful heart. It's a foretaste of that total union with His merciful heart in heaven. So there's still the waiting. There's still the desire that grows. The one takeaway that I want to offer to you from this homily is, if you are not doing this, I beg you with all of my heart. And I say this not because I'm the priest or the religious guy or whatever. I say this because I mentioned at the beginning of the homily, I love individuals. I love you. Your fulfillment comes in union with God, and I am begging you, if you're not already doing it, please, 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 take time to pray every single day. Not once or twice a week, not just an hour here on Sunday, every single day. Make it the first thing that you put into your schedule. So many of us get so busy trying to fulfill all the different needs that we have from one moment to the next, fulfilling them immediately, and the one thing that gets pushed aside first, I'm speaking probably for most of you and for myself too, the one thing that gets pushed aside first is prayer. But that's the one thing that we need more than anything else, and that's the one thing that's going to make desire for God in our heart grow. So don't let that be the thing that gets pushed aside. And part of this comes down to understanding our place in the world. One of my favorite quotes from my favorite saint is Saint Therese of Lisieux. One of my favorite quotes from her is, she says, "This world is your ship, not your home." This world is your ship, not your home. This is not the end goal. This life is good. There are so many good things in this life that we should enjoy. But this is not the end. In the end, we are made for something else, for somewhere else. And I know this is a little dark, but I don't care. The mortality rate for human beings is 100%. I'm going to say this to you because it might make you uncomfortable, and I love watching you be uncomfortable. You will die. All right? That shouldn't be news. We don't like to think about it, but you will. And then is the moment when we find that all of this was good, but this is not what the goal is. There's something else that we're made for, and the desires in your heart and in mine can be and will be fulfilled there in perfect union with God. There's a prayer I'm going to say at the very end of Mass. It's the very last one I say over by the chair. Listen to this. Replenished by the food of this spiritual nourishment, talking about the Eucharist, replenished by the food of this spiritual nourishment, we humbly beseech you, O Lord, that through our partaking in this mystery, the mystery of the Mass, you may teach us to judge wisely the things of earth and hold firm to the things of heaven. The point of all of this is to judge and understand wisely the things of earth. The things here are good, but to hold firmly to where the deepest desires of our heart lie, and it is in heaven, in that perfect union with God. I want to encourage you to not waste this time of Advent, to not waste this time that you can let desire grow in your heart. And I encourage you to do that by engaging with Jesus Christ in the sacraments and in daily prayer. In daily prayer. And if we do that and let desire grow in our hearts, then the fulfillment of that desire will be so much sweeter than it could have been if we don't. This Christmas, we can find the fulfillment of our heart's desire. But more importantly, if we engage in this lifetime of letting desire grow in our hearts for the things of heaven, when that day finally comes that we get to see him face to face, our desire will be so great, and the fulfillment of that desire will be perfect.